Self-help is the most profitable way to keep a man exactly where he is. And it sounds backwards, but it's not. The entire machine is built on one principle. Make him feel like he's moving without him ever actually going anywhere. And it works. And it works so well that there are guys watching this right now who have probably read 30 books this year, who own a cold plunge, who have a color-coded schedule, and they still can't make a single real decision about their life. Not one. They can tell you exactly what they need to do, they just never do it. And I know because I've been that guy. I've taken cold showers. I've done the journaling. I've read thousands of fucking self-help books. And on top of just the feeling that I need to consume one more video, just one more video, one more framework, one more morning routine, something would finally click. And I'd become the version of myself I kept seeing in my head, and it never clicked. Because consuming clarity is not the same thing as having it. Watching someone else figure out their life doesn't transfer. You can't absorb discipline through a screen. At some point, you have to just close the tab and do something. And that's exactly the moment most guys never reach, because there's always one more video to watch first. And here's what nobody tells you in that space wants to say out loud: that 99% of the problems young men are dealing with right now, the lack of direction, the brain fog, the feeling you're behind, the loneliness, most of it has a boring fix. Exercise, daily sunlight, eating real food, sitting with the discomfort instead of optimizing around it. That's not a complete answer to everything, but it builds the foundation, the actual pillars. And the reason nobody in that world leads with it is because there's no $297 course on going outside. You can't monetize telling someone to take a walk. So instead, they sell you a 12-week program, the supplement stack, the journaling system, the accountability group, the thing after the thing after the thing, and you buy it because it feels like progress, and it does feel like progress, and that's the trap. The feeling is real, the progress isn't, and that's the game. That's always been the game. These creators, and I'm not naming names because you already know who they are. They don't profit when someone figures it out. They profit when someone almost figures it out, when he stays in the loop, when he feels just inspired enough to believe in the next video, the next book, the next product. It's spiritual procrastination sold as ambition. And it targets young men specifically because young men who are lost will buy identity before they build one. You don't know who you are yet, so you buy the version of you want to be. The clothing, the program, the mindset course from a guy who made his money selling mindset courses. And none of it builds anything real. None of it requires you to actually do the hard thing you've been avoiding. And I've watched it to people I've known personally. I know guys who can recite Marcus Aurelius but freeze when it's time to actually have a hard conversation. Guys who spent 6 months designing their ideal life on a fucking Notion template and never once did something that scared them. It's analysis paralysis dressed up as discipline. It's the appearance of growth without any friction that actual change requires. And what kills me is that these guys are not stupid. They're not lazy in the traditional sense. They're just exhausted from overcomplicating things that were never meant to be complicated. Life genuinely does not have to be this hard to figure out. Eat well, move your body, Do the thing that you say you're going to do. And that's most of it. The rest is just noise people are selling to you. And I get it because the world right now makes it extremely fucking easy to get lost. There's always a new system, a new stack, a new protocol. A guy starts thinking that he needs to optimize his sleep and his supplements and his dopamine detox schedule before he's even allowed to begin the thing that he actually wants to do. He needs to research the best morning routine before he starts one. He needs to find the perfect workout split before he steps a foot in the gym. He needs to read 4 more books about discipline before he can be disciplined. That's not improvement. That's just holding a pattern. The man building a runway his whole life and never taking off, and the industry knows this. They built the runway, they designed it to just never end. And I still catch myself in it. I still feel the pull to research instead of act. There are days where I spend 2 hours reading about something I could have just started doing. The difference now is I stopped calling it productivity. I stopped letting the feeling of motion replace actual motion. And that's a harder shift than it sounds because the feeling is it's straight up uncomfortable. Researching is comfortable. Planning is comfortable. Watching someone else do the thing that you want to do is comfortable. Doing is not. And comfort is the entire business model of this industry. The self-help industry didn't just create a generation of better men, it created a generation of men who are incredibly articulate about the lives they're not living. Men who can complain exactly what they need to do in detail with references and still go to bed tonight the same way they did the last night. You know, that's not a knowledge problem. That's an information gap. You don't need more information. You need to stop using information as a substitute for action. Those are two completely different problems, and the industry will never tell you that because solving the second one means you stop buying. You know, the guy who never read a single one of those books, who never watched a single one of those videos, who just woke up and did things badly and adjusted, he's further ahead, not because he's smarter, not because he got lucky, because he learned to mistake preparation for motion. He skipped the whole loop entirely. He failed faster. He learned from the actual thing instead of a simulation of the thing and kept going. And that's not a revolutionary insight. You know, that's just what building actually looks like before the content industry turned it into a product. Now, someone's going to say, isn't this video just more self-help content? Aren't you a part of the same pipeline you're criticizing? And I've thought about that. But here's the difference. I'm not selling you a framework. I'm not telling you what to do. I don't have a course. I don't have a program. I'm not going to tell you to wake up at 5 a.m. or take cold showers or stack your habits. This is just an observation. And sometimes that's all it takes. Someone saying the obvious thing out loud clearly enough that the loop breaks for a second and you see the obvious thing out loud. You see it for what it is. I'd rather tell you what you need to hear than what makes you feel good for 11 minutes and then disappears. If this video helps you, I mean that's great. If it doesn't, close it and go do the thing you've been putting off. Either way, stop watching videos about things and just go do them. You know, it's all masturbation. It feels productive in the moment. It feels good in the moment. There's a brief hit of something that resembles progress, and then it's gone. Forgotten by tomorrow, replaced by the next video, the next quote, the next thing that promised that this time it'll stick. A whole generation of men edging towards a life they'll never finish building because the content that was supposed to help them became the one thing they do instead. The machine doesn't want you fixed. It wants you almost fixed forever.